program. First, if we can just get your reaction to what we saw at the Hajj there in Saudi Arabia, government officials saying that they deployed 1,600 soldiers, thousands of volunteers, issuing a statement saying, quote, "The state did not fail, but there was a misjudgment on the part of people who did not appreciate the risks." As we continue to see temperatures climb at events like these tragically over the years and to be expected in the years to come, what more responsibility can state and local governments take on?
Yeah, I think towards your point, society really is showing that it can't keep up right now with the scale of these emerging heat challenges and challenges with other type of extreme events. They're happening simultaneously for longer duration and more intense than they have in the past, and we're having trouble keeping up. So towards solutions, obviously the first thing we have to do is dramatically reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We need to rapidly upscale the use of renewables to electrify our systems. We also need to do much more in the way of adapting, protecting people, including the vulnerable, as we just heard about in that story, when these heat events strike.
Obviously, fossil fuels a primary factor here, and there had been some romanticism, I think, over the past few years, not to knock science, but there could be a way to engineer our way out of climate change. And while obviously it's an important tool, it's hard to scale, and it's clear that actions taken by governments, by individuals, is really what's going to make the most significant of changes. Just politically, in your mind, does a carbon tax, is that the most effective way at addressing this issue?
So my personal opinion is that this is an all of the above solutions needed, all hands on deck. We need to drop our emissions something on the order of 90% or so, just within the next generation or so. And a challenge that big is going to require huge policy steps. We need to also get rid of all the subsidies that currently exist for fossil fuels. We also need major private sector investment in some new technological solutions. And yes, we need to see individuals also taking some additional steps to reduce their emissions too. Southern hemisphere, which in most places is around July or so. We're not just seeing those days getting hotter, but it's that expansion of the season, right? Which poses a lot of additional threats. We find that in some parts of the world, we're still in school, right, when these extreme heat waves are hitting, posing threats to children, and really fundamentally even their ability to learn in these really high temperatures. Also, cooling centers may not be open yet, so a lot of our calendars and our societal structures aren't aligned with these rapid changes in the frequency and intensity of heat waves and other types of extremes. So yeah, I am very concerned.
We know that extreme heat is actually more deadly and more dangerous than tornadoes, hurricanes combined. Explain why physically and for society extreme heat is the most dangerous of all forms of extreme weather.
Yeah, so I think a small part to mention first of the explanation is that heat is a bit more subtle, right? We can't visually see it the way we could see that really heavy rain event, right? Or that tornado, for example. So I think that does to some extent affect people's ability to prepare. But most fundamentally, as you're getting to, the issue is our basic human physiology, right? We as mammals need to shed a lot of heat, right? Everything from thinking to working outdoors to just basically maintaining our bodies produces heat and energy. So we need to be able to sweat effectively. And as we see temperatures getting higher and higher in this subtle, gradual way, we're losing in these really extreme events the ability to function. So we see long-term effects on our ability to learn, people with pre-existing health conditions, respiratory, cardiovascular, renal, under great stress, the elderly under great stress. And so we think about all those people, all those outdoor laborers, farmers in construction. This is a really, really fundamental threat and not something that there's an easy fix for, although there are some important adaptation strategies underway.
And heat waves, one would think, are fleeting. They're here for a couple of days and then you get relief. But that's different when you talk about a heat dome. They can sit over a large portion of land for days, weeks even. Why are we seeing more heat domes, or does this just seem to be a recent phenomenon the past couple of years.
Yeah, so I think, the first thing to point out is that just this rising tide of all days during the year warming, even if we didn't see more heat domes per se, gives you more heat waves, longer duration heat waves, and more risks. But as you've alluded to, scientists are also very actively looking at whether we're seeing bigger changes, the kinds of high pressure systems or heat domes that can get established in a region and not sort of gradually move out west to east, as most of us in, say, the US or Europe or Asia tend to think of storms moving, of weather systems moving in summer. When these high pressure systems get locked over a place, you're just baking under that sunlight. You have sinking air that's causing more warming and preventing any clouds or rain. And research is beginning to suggest that a changing climate could set up conditions that enable more of those heat domes to happen in the first place and to get locked in place, which causes feedbacks where you quickly dry out your soils, which causes even more warming, which can then also set the stage, is setting the stage for these terrible wildfires that we're seeing and major crop losses as well, in addition to the human health impacts we've been talking about.
And we're also seeing the largest tropical wetlands in Brazil on fire as well. Is that all related?
It's terrifying. I mean, I think, individual cases we have to sort of leave to the experts, but I can tell you for sure that connecting the dots around the globe, what we're learning is that just, these seemingly small shifts in the average temperature, when we talk about 2 degrees Fahrenheit of global warming that we've experienced, it sounds like nothing. But what we're learning is that little bit of warming is drying out all these environments because that warmer air is sucking additional moisture out of the vegetation, out of the soils, out of the wetlands. We add these changes in weather patterns that you alluded to, things like heat domes. We start to see the potential for what we call nonlinear impacts that can be truly catastrophic for ecosystems and which society isn't, close to prepared for.
And add to that, we're expecting a very active hurricane season as well. We've already seen the Atlantic hurricane season's first named storm in Mexico. So Radley, I hope you're around this summer because we'll be calling on you quite often to join us and explain everything for us. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.